Welcome to the Chronicles of Lost Relations. 7 months ago, I found out that my wife was involved in an affair with a man in his middle age. In an instant, 8 years of my life slipped away, lost and forgotten. I was 31 then, while she was 33. Her practice partner, as I'll refer to him, was almost 50. I stumbled upon the affair purely by chance, a simple case of being in the right place at the right moment. After being away on a business trip, I was set to come back the following day. However, as luck would have it, everything concluded sooner than expected, prompting me to drive home and surprise her. I thought it would be more pleasant to simply arrive without a prior call. While driving, I observed that my fuel gauge was running low, prompting me to take the next exit to refuel. This exit was approximately 12 miles away from my residence. Once I topped off the tank, I resumed my journey, but the path to the highway was sluggish. Every intersection featured either a stop sign or a traffic light, and the flow of traffic was sluggish. While I paused at a four-way stop, anticipating my turn, my eyes wandered to a side street. In that moment, I caught sight of it. My wife's car emerging and steering toward the same path I was taking. For a moment, I questioned whether my eyes were deceiving me. But no, that was unmistakably her car. My stomach tightened. What on earth is she doing here? We had only conversed a few hours prior, and she hadn't brought up anything about being in this vicinity. A sense of unease lingered in the air. I picked up my phone and dialed her number. It rang 4 times before she finally answered. When she spoke, her voice was breathless and hurried, as if she had just sprinted a marathon. "Hey," she said, her voice wavering in an unusual way. "Where are you up to?" I inquired, making an effort to maintain a steady tone. She paused for just a moment. "I was on the verge of reaching out to you." I scowled. "So where are you at?" "I exist. I just had to run a quick errand," she said, her voice still tinged with an unusual note. "What is the reason?" I forced down the discomfort swelling within me. I mentioned to her that our meetings wrapped up ahead of schedule. "I'm heading back home now." Her voice was filled with joy at the news of my return, and she promptly inquired about my arrival time, suggesting that she was already at home. I informed her that I would arrive in about 15 minutes. During our conversation, I noticed the sounds around her indicated she was on the road. "Where are you going?" I inquired nonchalantly. She hesitated for a moment before responding. "Oh, are you heading to the store?" The uncertainty in her voice sent a ripple of unease through me. "Which one do you prefer?" She mentioned the one nearest to our home, her words coming out in a rush. That was untrue. Her car came into view just a few hundred yards ahead, seamlessly merging onto the highway. She had no justification for being so far from home, especially if her only destination was the nearby store. At that instant, I understood. She was either betraying my trust or entangled in something illicit. If that's the case, what would motivate her to be untruthful? I thought about confronting her right then and there, but ultimately, I chose to go with the flow instead. If she intended to deceive, I was eager to uncover the full extent of her duplicity. "Excellent," I replied with ease. "I'll see you there, and afterward, we can head out for dinner." A moment of silence hung in the air before she replied, her tone tinged with an eagerness that felt slightly out of place. "That sounds wonderful." A sly grin spread across my face. She was taken by surprise. In the most composed tone I could manage, I remarked I just passed the rest area. The rest area was situated just behind her. In that fleeting moment, silence reigned. In an instant, she pressed down hard on the accelerator, her vehicle lurching ahead with a burst of speed. In mere moments, she was racing past 90 miles per hour, hurtling down the highway with reckless abandon. I exhaled slowly, my fingers tightening around the wheel. Goodness, she realizes I'm onto her. She was sprinting, likely pondering, "Wow, I nearly got discovered." As I arrived at the store parking lot, she was already waiting, standing next to her car. She approached as I parked, smoothing her outfit, ensuring her hair and makeup were just right in a compact mirror. She attempted to appear relaxed, yet the tightness in her shoulders betrayed her true feelings. Within the confines of the store, she pivoted to face me. "I must excuse myself for a moment," I acknowledged with a nod. "Same here." Her face flickered with a subtle twitch, yet she masked it with a smile. I wrapped things up in just a few minutes and stepped outside to await her arrival. 5 minutes slipped by, then 10, and soon 15. Yet, she remained inside. As she stepped out of the restroom, I couldn't help but smirk and remarked, "I was just about to send a search party to find you." She chuckled softly, dismissing my remark with a wave of her hand. "Apologies, I needed to take care of something as well." I nodded, feigning agreement with her response. Yet, deep down, I was aware of the deception. Throughout her time in there, the sound of the sink running reached my ears. She was not utilizing the restroom. She was tidying herself up, likely washing off the odor and perspiration from whatever activity she had engaged in with that man she had just been with. After completing our shopping, we opted to pick up some ready-made meals from the store rather than dining out for dinner. I maintained a composed facade, yet my thoughts were in turmoil, endlessly revisiting each questionable detail. As we settled in at home and prepared to enjoy our meal, I nonchalantly inquired, "So how was your day?" She acted without a moment's pause. "Nothing extraordinary," she remarked as she took a bite of her meal. "I went to work and then returned home immediately." Directly home. Indeed, my fingers clenched around the fork. Each fresh deceit that slipped from her lips ignited a fire within me. Yet I willed myself to remain calm. If I were to confront her without solid evidence, she would likely manipulate the situation, distort the facts, and leave me questioning my own sanity. That night, I found myself in bed, gazing at the ceiling as thoughts swirled through my mind. Rest eluded me. In the meantime, she lay completely unconscious, her breaths steady and calm, as if the weight of the world had slipped away. I was truly astonished by how effortlessly she managed to accomplish that. One might expect her to be a bundle of nerves, fretting over the possibility of being discovered. Yet that was far from the case. She exuded a calm confidence, while I found myself restless, grappling with the confusion of it all. The following evening, as she busied herself with dinner preparations, I made the choice to look at her phone. Silence prevails. There are no questionable messages or odd phone calls. I logged onto the internet to review our mobile phone and credit card statements. Once more, nothing particularly unusual. For a fleeting instant, a surge of relief washed over me. Perhaps I was mistaken. Perhaps I had allowed my creativity to soar beyond the bounds of reality. Yet, the persistent sensation resurfaced. Just because I didn't uncover any evidence doesn't imply she wasn't being unfaithful. It simply indicated her skill in concealing it. At that moment, I was feeling restless. I required additional evidence. I was determined to obtain it. I chose to pursue my inquiry further. Reflecting on the past, I realized I made the right choice. Yet, in that moment, it was excruciating maintaining the facade and acting as if all was well. About a week passed, and life continued on as it always does. I fulfilled my role, offered a smile when required, and maintained the facade of the devoted husband I had always portrayed. Yet within, I was a turmoil of emotions, observing, anticipating, aware that something was destined to unfold once more. One afternoon, she reached out to me while I was busy at work. "Hey, darling," she said, her tone playful and relaxed. "I wanted to inform you that I will be working a bit later than usual tonight. It's that time of the month again, and we're experiencing a bit of a backlog." I reclined in my chair, my fingers tightening around my phone. "Oh, really? What time do you think it might be?" "I'm uncertain. Perhaps around an hour or two. I'll message you when I'm on my way home." I compel myself to appear ordinary. "Okay, that works for me. Take it easy and don't overdo it." After exchanging our farewells, I ended the call and found myself gazing at my phone for what felt like an eternity. There was an unsettling quality to her tone that I couldn't quite shake off. Certainly, there were times when she needed to stay late, but this time, it struck me differently. My instincts were shouting at me. This didn't work. This was truly remarkable. I reflected on the moment I had encountered her the week before. In that street, I had no reason to encounter her. That was her destination. I had a feeling about that. That afternoon, I decided to leave work a bit earlier than usual. I made my way over, reaching the destination at approximately 4:30, and took a few leisurely drives along the street. Silence. I failed to spot her vehicle. I aimed to remain discreet, so I maneuvered my vehicle and parked at the McDonald's by the main intersection, attentively observing the road ahead. At precisely 4:45, she appeared, her car gliding to the light before executing that well-known turn down the street. I remained in my seat, clutching the steering wheel with such intensity that my knuckles became pale. I allotted it 10 minutes, just the right amount of time for her to settle in. I then took the wheel and navigated down the street on my own. And there it stood. The vehicle sat perfectly aligned in the driveway of a residence, next to a shiny new Ram pickup truck. I gazed at the house, my heart racing. My hands tightened into fists, and for a brief moment, all I could think about was leaving my car, striding up to that front door, and pounding on it until someone responded. To witness the expression on her face, to behold the visage of the man with whom she was deceiving me. However, I did not. A profound instinct urged me to halt. Instead, I grabbed my phone, snapped a few photos of her car parked in that driveway, and then I departed. I drove home, thoughts swirling, fully aware that my doubts had transformed into undeniable truths. I possessed my evidence. Upon arriving home, I promptly searched for the address where I had recently spotted her car parked. I had to uncover the true identity of this individual. A swift inquiry revealed the homeowner's name, and a knot formed in my stomach as I glanced at the findings. He was far from an ordinary individual. He held a partnership in a firm that engaged in transactions with her enterprise. So she wasn't merely tiptoeing around with an unfamiliar face. She was engaging in a lively exchange with a customer. Upon further exploration, I uncovered additional insights. Various records indicate that he was either 49 or 50 years old and had resided at that address since 2009. After some additional digging, I verified that he was divorced and had 2 children in college. Flawless. An experienced entrepreneur standing at the crossroads of opportunity and risk, taking advantage of a married woman who evidently had no qualms about straying from her husband. Later that evening, she returned home, beaming with joy, holding bags of takeout from my favorite Chinese restaurant, the place I cherish most, as if that was meant to divert my attention. "Hey, darling," she said with a bright smile, approaching me, her eyes radiating warmth as if everything was perfectly fine. She leaned in for a kiss, but I shifted just enough to offer her a half-hearted air kiss instead. That simply didn't satisfy her. She took hold of my chin and teased me with a playful pout. "Oh, come now," she playfully chided. "Provide me with an authentic one." I almost pulled back. There is absolutely no chance I would let my lips come close to hers after the places she had just visited. Yet, I compelled myself to obey, delivering a swift, icy kiss to her lips before retreating. We gathered around the table, and I made every effort to maintain composure. Even as each mouthful I consumed felt like a toxic burden. Thoughts swirled in my head, contemplating what step to take next. Text, "I need to head out to a client site tomorrow," I mentioned nonchalantly between bites. "I will not return until later in the evening." Her demeanor shifted at that moment, her eyes narrowing with keen interest. "Oh, really? Where are you headed?" "A few towns away," I mentioned, leaving it ambiguous. "At what hour do you plan to depart?" she inquired, attempting to maintain an air of casualness. "I mentioned it earlier. I likely won't return until later." I could observe the cogs whirring in her mind. She meticulously collected information, strategizing her forthcoming action. She believed she was clever, but I saw through her ruse effortlessly. She beamed with warmth. "Please, just head straight home without making any stops. I'll have dinner ready for you." The mere idea of that twisted my stomach in knots. Shall we have dinner? Once she had spent her day in his company? Is cooking for me akin to the role of a devoted partner? It was revolting. However, that dinner was not destined to take place, as I had alternative arrangements prepared for her. Naturally, I didn't have any scheduled customer visits for that day. The sole visit I arranged was to the residence of her drill partner. If I spotted her car parked there once more, I was finished. Time to take action. Time to believe. I would confront her immediately and then leave without revealing my destination. Whether it's a stroke of luck or misfortune, events unfolded precisely as I had anticipated. I arrived in the afternoon, and indeed, it was right there waiting for me. The vehicle she owns, stationed in that same frustrating spot, just as I was yesterday. My stomach tightened, yet this time there was no surprise. Only a confirmation. I acted without a moment's pause. I headed directly home, secured a hotel reservation, and began gathering my clothes. Each crease of the fabric, each zipper fastening my suitcase, seemed to echo the finality of closing the door on this marriage. I felt no sadness at all. Finished. Once I had everything arranged, I picked up my phone and dialed her number. To my surprise, she answered right away, her voice lively and joyful, as if she was genuinely delighted to hear from me. "Hello, darling," she sang. "Hello there." I tightened my jaw. "What are you up to?" "Oh, just sitting in a conference room, working on a spreadsheet," she said with a nonchalant air, as if she weren't deceiving me outright. "Indeed, you were disseminating something, but it certainly wasn't figures on a spreadsheet." I stated plainly, "You're not telling the truth." A moment of stillness. "What is happening?" "I am aware of your location. I'm aware of your company, and I understand precisely what you're up to," I stated, my tone steady yet frigid. "You're either involved with him at this very moment, or you've just wrapped things up with him. Exactly as you did yesterday. Exactly as you did the previous week." Stillness. She made no effort to refute it. "I promise, it's truly not that way at all." Silence prevails. "I have reached my limit with you," I continued. "I won't be home when you arrive." Yet, there remained silence. Only silence echoed back. I took a moment to absorb that, then unleashed a few carefully selected insults. Words I'd kept inside for far too long. And ended the call. I leaned back, breathed out, and paused. 20 minutes have gone by. Suddenly, my phone began to vibrate. Conversations, written works, repeatedly. She was completely overwhelmed with anxiety now, and I understood precisely the reason it took her 20 minutes to begin. The moment I hung up, she spun around, eyes wide with shock, and exclaimed to her affair partner, "Oh my God, my husband knows about us." For the last 20 minutes, she has been in a frenzy, her mind racing, anxiety mounting, crafting justifications, desperately searching for a way to rescue herself. At this moment, she is prepared to engage in conversation. In the following 24 hours, my phone was in a constant state of buzzing. She must have inundated me with 50 voicemails and flooded my phone with over 100 text messages. I ought to have cut her off, yet a part of me was curious to witness the extent of her desperation. Initially, her messages brimmed with denial. "It's not as it appears. I have the ability to clarify," as though any reasoning could possibly make this acceptable. It's as though I hadn't noticed her car sitting in that driveway on 2 separate occasions. Upon my silence, she altered her approach. The resistance dissipated, giving way to tears. "I deeply apologize, Frank. I kindly ask that you engage in conversation with me." Then arrived the complete chaos. Endless recordings of her weeping, filled with emotion and despair. Seeking redemption. Isn't that just the way it tends to unfold? They move with such disregard when they're in the shadows, but the moment they're exposed, chaos ensues. That evening, after settling into the hotel, I made my way to the bar to unwind a bit. The little I had consumed made the alcohol affect me quickly, dulling the anger just slightly. Upon returning to my room, I took care of what was necessary. I reached out to our parents and shared everything with them. I was feeling carefree from the drinks, so I let it all out. I revealed it all, every repulsive detail. My mother inhaled sharply. "Frank, she definitely would not." "Indeed, she did." I interrupted, my tone devoid of emotion. "She has been involved with a man in his 50s, a client of her workplace." I apprehended her. Stillness. Then my father, ever the reliable presence, cleared his throat. "Are you certain, my son?" I released a harsh chuckle. "Dad, I noticed her car parked at his place 2 times. She deceived me outright while she was in his home. When I faced her, she didn't even attempt to refute it." "Is there anything more you require?" My mother's voice cracked. "I believe the 2 of you were content." I gazed up at the hotel ceiling, enveloped in a void of emotion. Indeed, I experienced that as well. They were filled with dread, stunned. Much like myself, they were convinced that our marriage was flawless. Yet, That was merely a mirage, wasn't it? In the months that followed, I found myself residing in various hotels as I navigated the complexities of the divorce. I steered clear of any interaction with her. Silence surrounds me, devoid of calls or messages. Only my parents were aware of my whereabouts. I had no faith in anyone else keeping it to themselves. All were in my corner, save for her nearest companions, naturally. Yet my friends and family all echoed the same sentiment. It would be beneficial for you to have a meeting with her. Allow her to elaborate. Allow her the opportunity to express her apologies to you face to face. Based on the messages she had sent and the updates I received from our mutual friends, it was clear that she was struggling to cope. It came as no shock. She transitioned from covertly maneuvering behind my back to a state of sheer panic the instant she understood I wasn't returning. Rather than allowing her to face the repercussions of her choices, her friends chose to shift the burden onto me. Initially, it was merely a wave of pressure, a flurry of pleading messages and lengthy voicemails from acquaintances I hardly recognized, all echoing the same sentiment. Simply have a conversation with her, Frank. She is struggling. Allow her the opportunity to share her perspective. Then her older sister intervened, and that's when the situation took a turn for the worse. One evening, my phone rang, and I picked it up instinctively. Major error. Frank, what on earth is the matter with you? Her sister's voice cut through the air, filled with fury. She's unraveling, and you're completely indifferent? I shut my eyes, feeling utterly drained. This does not concern me. She isn't consuming food, and she isn't resting. Oh, Frank, she truly adored you. She erred, and you're discarding everything as if it held no value? I tightened my jaw. It held significance. I refused to accept this any longer. She discarded it the moment she settled into bed with another. Her sister let out a derisive laugh. Are you really going to just overlook her? What if something were to happen to her? What if she paused, then forcefully declared, if she takes a drastic step, that's on you. That was the end. That was the sentence. I inhaled deeply. To be perfectly clear, I am not accountable for her decisions. This mess was created by her, not by me. If you, or anyone else, attempt to manipulate me into reconsidering her, don't expect to hear from me again. After that, I ended the call and cut off all communication. The following day, I discovered that she and her friends had been gossiping to everyone about how unfeeling and cruel I appeared. And then arrived the true blow to the core. Her parents also directed their disapproval towards me. That one hurt. We had always shared a deep bond. Her father and I would share a few beers together. Her mother would say I resembled the son they never had. I believed they cared for me as if I were one of their own. Yet, when it truly mattered, family ties proved stronger than an 8-year union. Her mother reached out to me, her tone laced with a palpable sense of disappointment. Frank, why don't you just have a conversation with her? No, I stated plainly. She allowed a soft sigh. You held a place in our hearts like family. So, you really just throwing in the towel? I released a sardonic chuckle. Are you considering surrendering? Don't forget, she was the one who betrayed trust. Her mother was adamant that she had erred. Individuals navigate these challenges regularly. Indeed, I don't fit that mold. That marked the final exchange I shared with them. They chose their path, and I chose mine. I am grateful that my family and close friends remained by my side throughout the entire experience. They were the ones who reassured me that I wasn't losing my mind, that my actions were justified, regardless of how much her side attempted to manipulate my feelings. I maintained my distance and entrusted my attorney with all matters. My wife put up a strong fight against the divorce, willing to give me anything to keep our marriage intact, but I had made up my mind. Upon coming to the understanding that her words and actions would not sway my decision, she acquiesced and affixed her signature to the documents. Following that, events unfolded rapidly. Last month, the divorce was officially concluded. Fresh start, no remaining connections. I want to act like I was a tough guy throughout the entire experience. 8 years is quite a significant duration to share with another person. Countless nights passed in restless turmoil, times when the burden of it all felt almost unbearable. Yet I persevered. At this moment, I find myself unbound. That ought to have been the conclusion of the matter. Yet, she remains hopeful that one day we might reunite. She insists that we are destined to be together, that destiny will bring us back together, just as it did before. I can assure you with absolute certainty that will never occur. She continues to reach out to me several times a week, sharing updates about her life, expressing how much she misses me, and offering repeated apologies. I suppose I should have cut her off by now, but truthfully, I find a certain satisfaction in hearing about her struggles. Perhaps that makes me small-minded, but after all she has put me through, I believe I deserve a moment of satisfaction. Regarding her drill partner, I can't reveal much at this moment. Let's just say my legal representative and their legal representative are collaborating on a matter, and I'll leave it at that. Feel free to complete the gaps. Can you believe it? She said he was nothing to her, that she severed all ties with him. However, do you realize something? I'm indifferent. It's irrelevant whether he was merely a fleeting encounter or the one she cherished most deeply. She has betrayed me, and there's no way to recover from that. 7 months later, my drill partner presented me with $200,000 to dismiss the case. Indeed, I accepted the funds. There's no point in prolonging the inevitable when I had already triumphed in every significant aspect. I found myself liberated from a deceitful partner, and even more gratifying, I received compensation for it. Some may refer to it as hush money, but I see it as recompense for the years I've lost. Recently, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. I typically don't respond to those, but an instinct urged me to answer. "Hey Frank, it's Linda." Her mother's voice emerged, trembling and filled with doubt. I nearly ended the call at that moment, but I held on. I understood the reason behind her call. She fell to the floor in her home. She was discovered lying on the floor. She was neither eating nor sleeping. The medical professionals have diagnosed it as severe depression. She was placed in a rehabilitation center. I remained silent. What was I meant to express? That I had sympathy for her? That I would rush back to rescue her from the chaos she created? Linda let out a soft sniffle from the other end. "Frank, if you would be so kind. If you simply engage her in conversation." "No." My voice carried a sense of authority. "Chilly. She's no longer my concern. She's unwell, Frank. She requires assistance. I severed ties with her. She had to consider that carefully before she opened herself up to another man. I'm not indebted to her in any way." Stillness. Then, in a small, defeated voice, she whispered, "She still loves you." I released a harsh chuckle. She cared for me deeply, yet found herself with another man in broad daylight? Absolutely not, Linda. She cherished the life I provided, the security, the ease. But what about me? If her love was genuine, she wouldn't have shattered all that we created together. "Frank, please refrain from contacting me again." And I ended the call. In that moment, I realized that as long as I remained in this city, they would relentlessly pursue me. With that money, I acquired a quaint piece of farmland nestled in the countryside, a sanctuary away from the clamor and the echoes of the past. I acquired a few animals, chickens, goats, and even a pair of horses. I exchanged the pressures of corporate life for the tranquility of expansive fields and the beauty of dawn's first light. I have permanently departed from my job. Gone are the meetings, the deadlines, and the interactions with those I preferred to avoid. In this vast expanse, it's solely me, the terrain, and the creatures that roam. As dawn breaks, I rise with the sun, engage in labor with my hands, and inhale the crisp, invigorating air. After what feels like an eternity, a sense of well-being has finally returned to me, not only in terms of emotions, but also in the realms of the physical and mental. Dear audience, we invite you to express your opinions in the comment section below. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe.